Jaya Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Boy Charan Narvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Skandi Biti, Founder Sharyas Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur ki, Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Dainitai Gaura Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada ki. So yes, I think he has passed the test. Yeah. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Takshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savrutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakan Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Srite Devi Pranami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Sakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. I guess today is a special day, it's Sunday. Somehow Krishna is bringing more people to the Bhagavatam class. Thank you for attending. We are reading from the first canto, chapter 9, which is entitled The Passing Away of Bhishmadev. And yesterday we did 23 or 24? 23, huh? Yeah. Okay, so then 24. Text number 24. Sa Deva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshatam Kalevaram Yavad Idam Hinomi Aham Prasanna Hasarunna Lochano Lasanna Mukham Bhujau Dhyana Pathash Chatur Bhujaha Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshatam
Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshatam
Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham
Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham
Prasanna Hasaruna Lochano Rasanna
Prasanna Hasarana Lochana
Mukham Bhujo Dhyana Pathaschatur Bhujaha
Mukham Bhujayana Patashchaturabhujaha
Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshatam
Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshatam
Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham
Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham
Prasanna Hasaruna Lochano Lasanna
Prasanna Lochana
Mukham Bhujo Dhyana Pathaschatur Bhujaha
Mukham Bhujayana Patashchaturabhujaha
Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshatam
Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshatam
Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham
Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham
Prasanna Hasaruna Lochano Lasanna
Prasanna Hasaruna Lochana Lasanna
Mukham Bhujo Dhyana Pathaschatur Bhujaha
Mukham Bhujayana Patashchaturabhujaha Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshataam
Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshtatam
Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinamyaham
Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham
Prasanna Hasaruna Lochana Lasa
Prasanna Hasaruna Lochano Lasan
Mukham Bhujadhana Patashchaturabhujaha
Mukham Bhujo Dhyana Pathaschatur Bhujaha
Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshtatam
Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshtatam
Kalevaram Yavat Idam Hinamyaham
Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham
Prasanna Saruna Lachanasam
Prasanna Hasaruna Lochano
Mukham Bhujo Dhyana Pathaschaturabhuja
Mukham Bhujo Dhyana Pathaschatur Bhujaha
Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshataam
Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshataam
Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham
Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham
Prasannaha Suruna Lochanolasya
Prasannaha Sarunalochalosanam
Mukham Bhujo Dhyana Pataschaturbuja
Mukham Bhujo Dhyana Pataschaturbujaha. One more.
Sadeva Deva Bhagwan Pratikshataam
Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshatam
Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham
Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham Prasannaha Sarunalochano Lasan Mukham Bhujo Dhyana Pataschaturbujaha Saha He Deva Devaha
Deva Deva,
the Supreme Lord of the Lords,
the Supreme Lord of the Lords,
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
the personality of Godhead,
the personality of Godhead,
Pratikshatam,
Pratikshataam,
may kindly wait,
may kindly wait,
Kalevaram,
Kalevaram,
body,
body,
Yavat,
Yavat,
as long as,
Idam,
this material body,
this material body,
Hinomi,
Hinami,
may quit,
may quit,
Aham,
Aham,
I, Prasanna,
Prasanna,
cheerful,
cheerful,
Hasa,
Hasa,
smiling,
smiling,
Arunalochana,
Arunalochana,
eyes red like the morning sun,
eyes red like the morning sun,
Ulasat,
Ulasat,
beautifully decorated,
beautifully decorated,
Mukha Ambujaha,
Mukhambuja,
the lotus flower
the lotus flower
of his face,
of his face,
Dhyanapataha,
Dhanapataha,
in the path of my meditation,
in the path of my meditation,
Chaturbhujaha,
Chaturbuja,
the four-handed form of Narayana,
the four-handed form of Narayana,
the worshipable deity of Bhishmadeva.
the worshipable deity of Vishmadeva.
Translation and purport by the Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sridham Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
May my Lord, who is four-handed and whose beautifully decorated lotus face, with eyes as red as the rising sun, is smiling, kindly await me at that moment when I quit this material body. Everyone kindly repeat after me. May my Lord, who is four-handed,
Who is four-handed,
and whose beautifully decorated lotus face,
and beautifully decorated lotus face,
with eyes as red
with eyes as red
as the rising sun,
as the rising sun,
is smiling,
is smiling,
kindly await me
kindly await me
at that moment
at that moment
when I quit
when I quit
this material body.
this material body.
Purport. Bhishmadev knew well that Lord Krishna is the original Narayana. Hare Krishna. His worshipable deity was four-handed Narayana, but he knew that the four-handed Narayana is a plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. Indirectly, he desired Lord Sri Krishna to manifest himself in his four-handed feature of Narayana. A Vaishnava is always humble in his behavior. Although it was 100% certain that Bhishmadev was approaching Vaikuntha Dham just after leaving his material body, Still, as a humble Vaishnava, he desired to see the beautiful face of the Lord, for after quitting the present body, he might not be in a position to see the Lord anymore. A Vaishnava is not puffed up, although the Lord guarantees his pure devotee entrance into his abode. Here Bhishmadev says, as long as I do not quit this body. This means that the great general would quit the body by his own will. He was not being forced by the laws of nature. He was so powerful that he could stay in his body as long as he desired. He got this benediction from his father. He desired that the Lord stay before him in his four-handed Narayana feature, so that he might concentrate upon him and thus be entranced in that meditation. Then his mind might be sanctified with thinking of the Lord. Thus he did not mind wherever he might go. A pure devotee is never very anxious to go back to the kingdom of God. He entirely depends on the goodwill of the Lord. He is equally satisfied even if the Lord desires him to go to hell. The only desire that a pure devotee entertains is that he may always be in rapt attention with thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord, regardless. Bhishmadev wanted this much only, that his mind be absorbed in thinking of the Lord, and that he pass away thus. That is the highest ambition of a pure devotee. Translation again. May my Lord, who is four-handed and whose beautifully decorated lotus face, with eyes as red as the rising sun, is smiling, kindly await me at that moment when I quit this material body. So I think we can all picture the scene. Grandfather Bhishmadev is lying on his bed of arrows and will continue actually to lie on his bed of arrows for quite a long time, maybe approximately 2 months. As mentioned here in the purport, a very rare kind of situation, very unique, in that grandfather Bhishmadev had received this boon that he could leave his body at will. So he was actually waiting for the sun to again change its course. And meantime, of course, the whole Leela has actually been arranged by Lord Krishna for various purposes, main purpose being that his pure devotee, grandfather Bhishmadev, although in a very difficult, we could say materially speaking, in a very difficult condition, about to leave his body in a painful, most uncomfortable position, lying on the bed of arrows. Bed of arrows means, I think we've all seen the picture. The arrows had pierced his body, and he had fallen on the back. It's not that just arrows were lying on the ground and he was lying on the bed of arrows. So it was most awkward and uncomfortable. So one of the purposes actually was to instruct, because that's a very long section, which is there in the Mahabharata. It is the Anusasana Parva of the Mahabharata, which is actually very important for those who want to understand the science of, what is it? The science of governance. Because Grandfather Bhishmadev, being a Kshatriya, and for so many decades, actually he lived for a very, very long time. We were trying to calculate, what was it, 250?
450.
Sorry, 450. According to some authorities, he lived till 450, the age of 450, which is to us totally inconceivable. Actually, there are, even in recent times, personality like Advaita Acharya, he lived till the age of like 140. There are there are people even today, you may know some of them, who live beyond the age of 100.
130.
130.
Yes, he now live.
Yeah, we all know. So in other words, it is possible, especially, let's say, 5,000 years ago. So although in that very uncomfortable condition, because it's a question of consciousness, isn't it? Krishna consciousness, the essence of Krishna consciousness is to elevate our consciousness in such a way that we become, practically speaking, what is called oblivious to our material condition. We become we could say unaffected. Actually, the end result of someone who takes up the process of bhakti, of one who actually becomes very highly absorbed in this process of devotional service, is that one can, what is called, transcend the threefold miseries of life. And Grandfather Bhishmadev is an example of this. His consciousness is so pure and so elevated that in that material condition, which for most people is totally unthinkable, impossible, not only he was clear in consciousness, but he was able to deliver and to speak for days and days. So in the purport to the Prabhupada, of course, in the text, Grandfather Bhishmadev, he is praying that he can remember his worshipable deity. So one may wonder, well, Krishna is right there. Why he wants to think about four-armed Narayana? And Prabhupada explains how actually Bhishmadev knew and understood that actually Krishna is the origin of Narayana. this is, of course, we have, as we know, 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas, and there are some, I guess you could call it, theological differences. That's why there are 4 Sampradayas, where some accept Narayana as the original personality of Godhead, and Krishna becomes an incarnation. Of course, in our Vaishnava Sampradaya, it is clearly established how that's one of the, we could say, unique features of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. We clearly establish and clearly understand Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the supreme Bhagavan, supreme personality of Godhead, which is in so many places actually. Ekali Ishvara Krishna ar sab Britya. That's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So what is being nicely conveyed here by Bhishmadev is what actually all of us, what is being spoken here is for our benefit. All of us, all living entities actually should aim towards being in that situation when that critical moment in our life will come, and it will come, no one can avoid, that critical moment of leaving this body. The main desire and main prayer for devotee is, let me, kindly allow me to remember your lotus feet, to take shelter of your lotus feet, because what we think, what we remember at that critical moment of life is what will determine, isn't it, our future. Our future means our next life. So of course, throughout his whole life, Grandfather Bhishmadev was actually instructing on the principles of dharma. Those who are these 2 personalities, these 2 types, we could say, of leaders in society, namely the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas, they must be well versed actually in Shastra. And what is the first of 3 responsibilities for Kshatriyas? There are 3 main areas, we could say, can be summarized, 3 main areas of responsibility for those who are actual Kshatriyas. The first one being protection. Yeah, protection, many types of protection, not only physical protection of territory or physical protection of living entities, but actually protection of dharma, first and foremost. Yeah, protection of dharma. That means that they must be knowledgeable, and unless one has received that kind of training, one will not be knowledgeable, which is a problem in modern day society. We don't have kshatriyas actually. We don't understand the meaning of kshatriya. and therefore Srila Prabhupada wanted that not only we introduce what is called Brahminical culture, but also Kshatriya culture. Actually, in many ways, Brahminical culture includes Kshatriya culture. Brahminical culture includes Vaishya culture. And Brahminical culture also includes Shudra culture. There's a whole culture in all of the different levels. We hear so much about the Varnas and ashramas or Varnashrama. Of course, because it has been, unfortunately, for not only many years, but many centuries, tampered with. Tampered with means it has been manipulated. It has been changed. It has become polluted, actually, in so many ways. But actually, what is very important for every single person who wants to be known as, let's say, uh, upholder or protector of dharma or dharmic, one needs to understand that this is a very deep science, the science of dharma, the science of varnashrama dharma, just like the science of, we read Nectar Devotion. Prabhupada translates Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the science of devotional service, the complete science, the complete science of devotional service, which is actually meant to be the main focus, which is meant to be the main subject matter that we study and that we actually live, because only by knowing deeply the science of dharma can we act properly. Can we know what our what is called spiritual swadharma and material swadharma. This is a very important theme, actually. So what is our spiritual swadharma and what is our material swadharma? What is the difference between spiritual swadharma and material swadharma? Someone can say. What is our spiritual swadharma? What is the meaning of swadharma? Any Sanskrit scholars here? What is swadharma?
Swadharma means action, activity as a varna. Swadharma.
No.
Swa means
Swa means
I.
I,
Yeah, Swa.
personal, original. Causeless? Huh?
Constitutional position. Swadharma.
Constitutional. Yes. Swa has to do with what is original. Just like every country has a constitution. The origin of that country is like within the constitution. What the different rules and regulations and whatnot, principles are embedded in the constitution of the country. So in a similar way, what is our original nature that is embedded within every jiva, within every living entity, and that is called spiritual swadharma. And how is that summarized? Lord Chaitanya gave one very simple line, which you all know actually. The spiritual swadharma of a living entity is Jiber Swarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das, isn't it? Yeah. Das Anudas. Seva. Das means actually seva, service. So the natural, original, constitutional position, what is also known as the Nitya Siddha, Krishna Bhakti Nitya Siddha, Sadhya Kabunoi, Sravanadi Sute Chite Kara E Udoy, simply by, especially by the process of hearing from Bhagavatam, hearing from sadhus, one can reawaken his natural, eternal swadharma, spiritual swadharma. In many ways, that is like more easy to understand, although in another way, it's not at all easy to understand because, anyone who's been chanting and practicing devotional service knows that, well, it's a very nice philosophy, but it's not so easy to become, isn't it, a pure devotee. To attain the level of Paramahamsa is, after many bahunam janamanam, even to know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, It's after many, many lifetimes. Manushanam Sahasrisu, out of many hundreds and thousands of people, very few actually take to spiritual life, and out of so many who take to spiritual life, so very few actually come to that perfectional stage of understanding. So spiritual sadharma is a whole science, isn't it? To study, to understand, and especially to practice or to realize. Number one. Secondly, material swadharma. So what is material swadharma? What is material swadharma? In ordinary plain words.
Personal duty according to his varna and ashram.
Personal duty according to his varna.
Occupational duty.
Occupational duty. Yes. Yes. And let's say more specifically in terms of what we call Vedic culture. What is meant what is meant to be the main occupational duty for the vast majority of citizens or people? What is meant to be the main occupational duty? What is Vedic culture described as? Agrarian. Agrarian culture, which means actually agriculture. Last year we had a 1 month, during the month of Kartik, actually we had a 1 month Varnashram series of lectures or courses. We will again be having, actually beginning 18th of October, I think I was mentioning yesterday. So beginning the 1st of Kartik, 1st of Damodar month, which is the 18th of October, we will be having 2 months, different courses actually. So one of the courses we had last year, one of our devotees, we have different devotees who are, knowledgeable in different aspects, because Varnashrama is it's a huge subject matter. Like the science of bhakti is also a very deep and involved subject matter. So one of the courses we had last year, just to kind of get the point across, was in connection actually with agrarian culture. And the title of the course was Our Culture dash agriculture. Our culture, agriculture. This is actually very deep meaning. What does that mean? Vedic culture is primarily a cow-based culture, is a farm-based culture, is, well, the definition is there in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishi Gorakshavanijam Vaishakarma Swabhavajam. Krishi Goraksha Vanijam. So Krishi Goraksha is meant to be the main occupation. You're mentioning about occupation, right? Occupational duty. The main occupational duty for the vast majority of people, for the vast majority, to make it even more specific, for the vast majority of grihastas, householders, is not this or this. Is actually, the land, the cows. What is demonstrated directly by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna, in Vrindavan. That's why Vrindavan is so important for all of us. And we have to hear it again and again and again so that it can actually sink in. Because we're generally quite hard-headed in Kali Yuga, very slow to understand. It takes a long time to penetrate. But Of course, this is all nicely elaborated, explained in detail, actually, especially in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's one of many reasons why the Bhagavatam is so important. So, here's another question. Why is material Swadharma so important to understand? And secondly, why is it so important to actually execute? And is directly connected with what is being conveyed here. Why is material Swadharma? Why is executing what is meant to be our original, more natural material Swadharma so important? Because by just like we have some understanding that when we come to know about Krishna consciousness in terms of we are eternal servants of Krishna, when we start to go beyond the bodily platform and begin to understand a little bit about bhakti, devotional service, then we begin to practice, isn't it? Different activities. We start chanting the holy name, we come to a temple, we start hearing Bhagavatam, we associate with other devotees like that. So in a similar way, material Swadharma, when we understand and actually put into practice what we are meant, what Shastra is actually recommending that we do in terms of occupation, knowing about and putting into practice our material Swadharma helps us to understand our spiritual Swadharma. There's a link. Just like if somebody is working, I won't take on Calcutta necessarily, because we have some people from Calcutta here. But any major city in the world today, which is, the standard in terms of what is taking place in the world, more and more people are living and working, isn't it, in cities or in factories that are close to cities. And the type of work that the majority of people are doing, including, unfortunately, the majority of our own devotees, is not in keeping actually with our material Swadharma, isn't it? When we have to work in a factory, doing the same job, and surrounded by people who are totally karmis, when there is no, clue or no spiritual kind of atmosphere, and when we do work which is not actually related to what is more natural, what is actually recommended in the Shastra, it is less conducive for spiritual development, isn't it? When we live, Prabhupada has described, and I think we all have different levels of experience. When we live in the modern day cities, which are primarily engrossed in rajas and tamas, isn't it? Rajagun and tamagun, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Very difficult to maintain a high level of Krishna consciousness. I mean, very difficult to even chant our rounds because we're constantly surrounded. The whole place is very heavily polluted, isn't it? So, in other words, our material activities, our material occupation, what is described in the Bhagavad Gita as prescribed duties. There is such a thing as prescribed duties, prescribed material duties. We have prescribed spiritual duties, and we have prescribed material duties. And it is only when we learn to balance properly based on Shastra both of these levels of duties or responsibilities, then this will be more easily, more naturally enhancing our spiritual consciousness. It will more easily help us to actually purify our consciousness. So therefore, it is so important to learn to balance actually these two levels of existence and not simply be, you know, absorbed in one activity, which is spiritual activities. Of course, the so-called material activities, which are connected, meant to be connected with cows, meant to be connected with land, even though material, because they are performed in connection with Krishna, isn't it? Whatever we grow, for example, in the Vedic culture, uh, we offer to Krishna. We prepare nice foodstuffs, etc. But nowadays, the food that we, well, first of all, we don't grow our own food. So 99% of the food that we actually consume and that we also offer is not good food, is polluted food, is poison food, actually. One devotee was explaining how even the flower garlands we offer to the Lord, I know for a fact in the Western countries, because I was president of a temple some years back, and we had to buy flowers by, you know, that are imported. And in America, this is true. They have to put some scent on the flowers so that they're smelling. Otherwise, there's no fragrance. So what kind of scent do they put? Chemical scent, you know. The incense that we're using every day in all of our temples, majority of our temples, if we're buying ordinary incense, we're offering chemical poison to the deities. We're garlanding our devotees with poison. We're offering the Lord food that is contaminated. We're offering milk that is contaminated. We have to understand how fallen is the whole situation or condition in modern day society. And that was one of the important reasons that Srila Prabhupada emphasized so much the need for creating communities where devotees can live together and return to what is more natural, what is described actually in the Shastra, which is directly, of course, connected with cows and land. So, not that we run away from preaching activities which are there, which need to be there, which need to continue in our cities, but we need to address both of these needs. We need devotees who are preaching in the cities, and they're meant to be supported actually in so many ways, including supported by providing, Hare Krishna, modern day distractions are there all the time. By providing good foods and good milk, wholesome milk, ahimsa milk to our deities and ultimately to our devotees. So it's, you know, it's um, it's interconnected, very intimately, very directly interconnected. How we live, how we work, what is our occupation, how we make money, because that's why Varnashram College is so important. That's why we are promoting Varnashram College. We're promoting Gurukula because these are the subject matters. These are the basic principles upon which society is meant to be organized, isn't it? And this is known especially to a personality like Grandfather Bhishmadev, who will be very elaborately at this point. It's like he's just beginning to discuss, and he's actually beginning his discussion by glorifying, by acknowledging the presence of Krishna, who is his life and soul. And after, in this way, glorifying the Lord and impressing upon Yudhisthira Maharaj that he is so fortunate because he and his brothers, the Pandavas, had the Lord as their friends, as their companion, as their counselor, as their messenger also. So in this way, he's bringing out different aspects. Here in particular, this aspect of he's requesting, my dear Lord, up until the point I leave this body, kindly be with me, kindly be in front of me so that I can think of you, so that I can remember you at the time of leaving this body. So this is the perfectional stage. Uh, this perfectional stage can be attained more quickly, more easily, when we understand about these two aspects in terms of our spiritual svadharma as well as material svadharma. And therefore, therefore, Srila Prabhupada, as we all know, talked about his unfulfilled mission of establishing Varnashrama Dharma, to get that point across, you see, that modern day society is a major, what is it, deviation. The whole industrial society, civilization that we have built up in the last century, since the last 2 centuries basically, is a major deviation in that we are very, very badly exploiting the resources of nature, of Mother Bhumi. We are exploiting everything. Actually, we're exploiting a mother cow. We're exploiting one another also, because the whole the real goal and purpose of life has been forgotten. And therefore, those who are actually followers of Dharma, those who actually understand about Dharma, will therefore endeavor as much as possible to do what they can to help restore, to help reestablish these principles of Dharma, which can that can only be done if not only we speak about it, but we live and practically demonstrate how we are meant to live both spiritually as well as materially. So I will just read again our text, and then if there's any question or any comment, we can take a few minutes for that. Let's see. Yeah, we have just a few minutes. So this is the verse we read. Grandfather Bhishmadev speaking here. May my Lord, who is four-handed and whose beautifully decorated lotus face with eyes as red as the rising sun, we have rising sun today, is smiling, kindly await me at that moment when I quit this material body. Any thoughts, questions, or comments?
For for Kshatriyas,
For Kshatriyas,
which types of shastras we teach them?
it's called Kshatriya Shastra, like Dhanurveda. Dhanurveda, Kautilya Artha Shastra. There are various shastras that deal, Vidura, Niti, Chanakya, Niti. There are many shastras that are especially for training Kshatriyas, that make up what is called the curriculum. So actually Prabhupada, because one devotee was asking Prabhupada, how are we going to do this? How to introduce Varnashrama? Prabhupada, he said, it's very simple. You take everyone as like fallen. Kali Yuga is not difficult to do that. Kalo Shudra Samba, everyone is in. So you consider everyone, and then you formulate, you write up a curriculum for training Brahmanas. Then you write another curriculum for training Kshatriyas. Then you formulate a third curriculum for training Vaishyas. So whoever takes up these studies and is successful, then you designate that person as a Brahmana. We're doing that in ISKCON right now, actually. We have people who are Brahmanas, and we have people who are not Brahmanas, isn't it? But Prabhupada wanted us that we go beyond that. If we have this curriculum, that's only possible if we have Varnashram college, isn't it? Whereby, having gone through the different training and education that is there, one comes out being successful, either as a Brahmana, as a Kshatriya, or as a Vaishya. And whoever is not Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya, automatically is Shudra. So it's not difficult to determine, isn't it? Because those three, they're called Dvijas, isn't it? Dvija means Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. Dvija means actually natural leader. So it's not a problem actually, because in any community, there must be some leader. There must be a qualified leader. But in the community to properly function, there must also be some follower. A leader can lead only followers. So there must be qualified leader and there must be qualified follower. So ultimately, of course, when we put Krishna in the center, we're all followers. We're all servants. That is the meaning of Daiva Varnasrama, the divine culture. Varnasrama actually means divine culture, where everyone is focused on serving Krishna. Everyone is an aspiring, practicing devotee, and practicing Vaishnava. As a matter of fact, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his well-known writings, Sajana Tosani, he mentions that actually Varnasrama, Daiva Varnasrama is for those Vaishnavas who are still in their conditioned state. It's not that we pick up a bead bag and voila, I am a Paramahamsa. Doesn't happen overnight, and generally takes many lifetimes. Many lifetimes. Means we have to die many times and continue the process. But by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, if one takes up the process very seriously, within one lifetime, this is like a very special concession that is there. So Srila Prabhupada has given us all of these things, and therefore, that's one of the many reasons why these colleges, Varnashrama colleges, to train individuals. We cannot only, Prabhupada didn't want us to just only train Brahmanas. What will Brahmanas do if nobody else is qualified to organize and lead society, or to work, or to look after the land, to produce food, or to look after cows, isn't it? So all of these four are necessary. We all know, Prabhupada gave the example, the head is necessary, the arms are necessary, the stomach is necessary, the legs are necessary, everything is necessary. But the head is most important. Any other?
Nowadays, ISKCON has many Brahmanas, but they not use their intelligence proper way.
Be careful. Within our ISKCON society at present, we have only introduced one aspect, which is Brahmana. Yeah. And we have yet to introduce what Prabhupada asked us to do, is Kshatriya culture, Vaishya culture, and including also, which means that that's why our three main, our mandate here is like three, basically, three main goals and objectives: to train individuals as Gurukul Acharyas, to train individuals as Varnashram college Acharyas, because Gurukul and college, Varnashram, they are both educational institutions. And number three, to train another type of acharya who actually will be a kshatriya to help establish Vedic villages, Vedic communities. Because we may train young boys to become ideal brahmacharis, and depending on their varna, they may take a particular ashram. That's all scientifically explained in the Shastra. But unless they have a place where they can actually live out the Vedic culture as described in the Shastra, as it is meant to be, that means in village primarily. Some cities will be there, but based on the Vedic, Shastra description, which we don't have in modern day society. And we don't have because actually nobody's been trained, nobody has learned. But cities have their place, but that requires proper training and education. So yes, we need to train brahmanas who will go beyond just being brahmana, isn't it? Of course, some devotees will say, actually, we don't really have to bother about this. We just become Vaishnavas. Vaishnava is everything. Automatically, you're brahmana if you're Vaishnava. Haribol. Problem solved. But what did Prabhupada say? It is not so easy to become Vaishnava. It is not at all easy. And as a matter of fact, Prabhupada added, in order for you to become Vaishnava, you have to follow Varnashrama. You have to follow Varnashrama. That means some individuals have to take the responsibility of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. But all of them are aspiring, endeavoring to become pure Vaishnava. Yeah. And that process, that very process of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra is the ideal, most important, most effective process to actually help us to become Vaishnava. You know. All the different political or social systems that exist are having the opposite effect. Whether it is socialism or democracy or communism, whatever, they're off the mark. They're off the track. So that is the system that Krishna himself has created, isn't it? I mean, how can we deny and not take up Krishna's own perfectly created system that is nicely elaborated in the 7th canto, chapter 11 to 15. The last 5 chapters of the 7th canto is Narada Muni speaking again to Yudhisthira Maharaj about the system of Varnashrama. Okay, the sun is getting a little warmer and the noise is also gradually going to increase, which will make it difficult for us to be more concentrating. So it means it's time to bring an end to our Bhagavatam class. Jai Grantaraj Bhagavatam ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Nitai Gaura Pimanandi. So for those who may not know, we have darshan at 7:30 actually, followed by Guru Puja, and between now and